Sally, thank you very much for having a chat with me. I really appreciate it. As I said, you're not a game developer, but you are. I don't
No.
know. Maybe you have made games. Tell us about what I should say is tell us about your connection to the adventure game industry. There you go. You can say you could.
I do funny voices for food. No, so I am also a writer for games, which is why I'm doing the eyebrows. So, and you can sort of go, oh, well, is that a developer? And I'm like,
Well,
well, I do.
especially for adventure games, it's a quite a big part of.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly the narrative design element of adventure games. I don't code. I think that's the line, isn't it? I don't code. Um, and yeah, that's my connection. And I am one of these people that grew up playing adventure games,
Yeah.
and like
What's
that's
your favorite
like.
adventure game?
Oh, don't. No. Do you mean like historically from my childhood or just like ever? Because that's a constantly moving target.
Yes, I guess at the moment, what would you say? What's a game that you really love?
Heaven's Vault.
Yeah,
Kind of
good answer.
it gave me like a good existential crisis in the middle of it, just because I it's jaw-dropping. If you haven't played it, play it. I can't do it justice, and I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there is like a part of it where I just went, I am never going to make anything this good. This is incredible. And like I cast that game, so like I kind of knew how great it was going to be, so I kind of went in biased, and I was still like, oh, this is so good. It's so
It is
good.
very good. So
It's
that's a good answer.
so good. So yeah, that's my favorite at the moment. And it's always what I'm playing at the moment. I'm actually playing Vampire Story at the moment.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, I've
yeah,
heard about that.
yeah, and I mean some of the voice actings drive me bananas because that's the job. But yeah, it's lovely. It's got proper moon logic.
Oh, excellent. Oh, I like the sound of that. I'll have to check
But
that
yeah,
out.
so I actually like I do love adventure games,
Yeah.
and when I work in them, I think that really helps because I get what's going on, and I'm just like, oh, this is why I have to record 30 different versions of that doesn't work. Um, why are you using that thing with that other thing? Just that's like adventure game bread
Yeah.
and butter stuff, and just understanding how the mechanism works, and the tropes and stuff. Like, why am I saying fine leather jacket? Uh,
Rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle.
Yeah,
Um,
classics.
um, so, I mean, I guess, how did you get into, because you don't just do, voiceovers or voice acting for games. Obviously, you do lots of other work as well. How
Yeah.
did you get specifically into games then?
Um,
Was it
it
just
I
that
think
you love games and you were like, well, I'm going to try doing it for
I think
games or?
I think definitely. I think there was definitely kind of a moment in my late teens when I realized that the voice coming out of Monkey Island was Dominic Amato, who was a real person, and that could be a real job. And then was kind of ruined. Because once you know that can be a real job, I can just pretend to be a pirate. Like, yeah, it's been part of like the mix of work that I've been doing for years and years. And I do bunches of things like corporates and explainers, and like sometimes I'm on phone systems, and that's really funny because I'll get texts from friends going, I don't believe this call is important to you, Sally. So I do lots of like the boring proper stuff, but I always feel like every day's a school day and you learn stuff from everything. But the more I was doing games, the more I was just like, oh, I am built for this. I'm built for this. And I can remember the night before doing Bertram Fiddle 2, which I
Mm.
think I'm like about 6 mad old ladies in that. And sort of having a moment with a friend and kind of going, am I really, am I going to do this? Can I do all this? And he was just like, Sally, you're kind of born for this. Like, if I could say Victorian mad old ladies, lots of in an adventure game, that's you. Thanks, man. That's like the best compliment ever. And basically, Bertram Fiddle 2 kind of introduced me to Adventure X
Okay.
and lots of other developers, and it just kind of snowballed in a really wonderful way. That just other people seeing my work and kind of and and I think a really big part of that, actually, to come back to topic, is jams.
Yeah.
Um, that I did my first jam, Adventure Jam, about 5 years ago. And when you called me a Game Jam veteran earlier, I was like, I'm gonna crumble into dust. I feel so old.
No,
But
I didn't mean it like that. I
no,
just
no,
meant as
no.
in
It's just like in game development, like 5 years is a career.
mm.
Like that's like 40 years in normal person years. So like the fact that I've been doing game jams for 5 years, yeah, no, I am a veteran and I've seen some things. Um, yeah, I started off on that doing just like little bits, and there wasn't anybody else doing voice acting at that time. It was basically, developers filling in for each other and some really cool voices, but there weren't any pros in there. And I kind of stumbled into it and was like, wait a second, this is really cool and actually kind of useful to me. And then sort of flash forward 5 years later, I'm now the voice acting moderator for Adventure Jam. So I'm like, I'm the Machiavelli at the top who explains how voice acting works and how to do all the things. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah,
Wi
I do really like them.
so
Sorry.
someone in the chat says, "I'd called Sally a Game Jam legend." So there you go.
You have to be really careful because my head won't fit in the booth anymore.
She'll be stuck, everybody. She won't be
Just
able to
this
get out.
big swollen head. Thank you. That's really lovely. And I have to say, I was keen to come on this because I am like I need to give you a podcast at some point. We've been saying about it for a while,
Yes.
but like I drop in on your stream when you're playing games I'm in, and you're always so nice about me. It's so
Well,
lovely.
Sally, you're just a very good at your job, and it's very
Oh, thank you
annoying.
so much. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed you playing Mutropolis.
Yes, because
Um,
I didn't
and
know it was you, I think, and I was like, "I recognize this name. I recognize this
yeah,
voice." And I was like, "I've
yes,
do you get that quite a lot now, I guess, because
yeah.
you are basically in quite a lot of it. Tell us more about the adventure games you're in. So if people maybe don't know
Oh
you,
no,
but
don't.
they'd know your voice.
So I'm three roles in Mutropolis, and I was very very proud because like quite a few people didn't spot that I was the other two voices. I think you grokked me,
Yeah.
so I'm really really pleased with that. But so I'm in guard duty, which is fantastic. Erstwhile sick chicken, now headwear games. Nathan is lovely, and oh god, like I've been in loads and now I can't remember anything. Dance of Death, do Lac Fey. I am a variety of animals in that. Apparently, the rat is a fan favourite. Uh,
I haven't played it, but I will
the
check it
rat's
out just for the
great.
rat.
Yeah, she's really good fun. And I'm a very high-strung pony in it as well. Uh, you can hear that, right?
No, no comment.
I can't think of any games I've been in. They sort of go in and out of my brain.
Of course, yeah.
I'm in Harold Halibut, which hasn't been released yet. We're not quite sure when the release date is yet, but I play a role in that, which is awesome and so heavily NDA'd. That's literally all I can tell you.
Okay, yeah, that's
But
yeah.
when it comes out, I'm going to be able to talk about it, and you are not going to shut me up about it. I'm so excited about it. I have a little role in Lost in Random, which came out, which is the very Tim Burton-esque EA Originals thing. So I'm a couple of vaguely disfigured monsters in that.
I was
I've got
going to say
range.
you must have some of the most interesting roles to play.
Yeah.
Compared to other sort of voice actors, because you could just be anything really.
That's kind of what I love about it.
Mm.
But I'm an actual actor as well, and the thing is that when you train, you play like anything, and like I was doing animals and playing men and stuff in uni, and then you boot out into the industry, and it's all girlfriend 3 with brown hair, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play myself forever in slightly different ways, and then you get to do voice acting for games, and they're like, here are the animals you are, these are the monsters you are, this is like it's just like creatively so exciting. Yeah, really, I love all that when you kind of go, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm in Lord Winklebottom Investigates, which is
Ah.
coming out next year.
Yes, I'm really looking
And
forward to that.
yeah, and I'm a pelican in that.
I mean, what's the process then when because all these different roles, obviously, what's the difference between playing a pelican and a very upstrung horse? How do you what process? How do you go to like, okay, what is this voice going to be? How do you find the voice for these characters?
Sometimes it kind of jumps out of the script. So if the script's written really well, um, so like for Lord Winklebottom, there's a maid in it, and there's a bit where she discovers the body, and she goes, "Oh, it's horrible, horrible!" And that sentence was just like, "Yep, I know who this goat maid is because of the way that she's written
Right.
horrible," and it just like that can be a way in, and sometimes it's to do with like face shape and things. This is like I do commedia stuff as well, and there's lots of like physical theatre training that you can draw on. But so like a pony has a long face, so you can sort of start to integrate that into the voice. That it feels like there's a long way for the voice to go. And with the pelican, I kind of really lent into her having a double chin. So that feels tricksy, but also, it worked in the whole style of the thing as well. And sometimes somebody will say, "Oh, this character on TV, but make it a bit different," and that will go like that as well.
Are
So.
you given sort of images of what the character looks like, or is it just like you're a pelican? I guess that must depend. It must depend for each. Yeah.
Sometimes. It's really handy to have the art,
Mm.
super handy, because it doesn't just tell you what the character looks like, it tells you like the style of the game and what kind of tone you want to be going for. Um, and it kind of makes it real for you. It lights up your imagination when you know what that character's going to look like and what everyone's going to experience. So that's a tip there for jammers. If you can give me the art, that's super useful because it can be a really shorthand way of getting into the character. Um, Quite a lot of the time when you do jams, you get really minimal information. And if you have seen me talk on any panels or talks, I bang on and on about context because acting is all about reacting. So if I don't know what I'm reacting to, nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can get some real weird performances if somebody doesn't exactly know what's going on. And that's my theory about bad voice acting. When we say bad, it's actually just this poor voice actor has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've seen Squid Game, this little
No, I haven't.
unheard of.
But I've heard. I've
Yes.
heard.
There's a theory that is quite interesting that the voiceovers there basically that's because there's the Western voiceovers, and I think when they interviewed them afterwards, because they're very poorly done, and it's kind of what
Mm.
you were feeding into there, that they weren't given any context. Obviously, the translation didn't help either, but it's like you say, it's very easy. If you're not given, I guess, even directions just as to how
Mm.
you're supposed to say it, how much freedom are you given to decide whether the character's angry or upset, or is that kind
It
of up to
again,
you? Or
it can be up to me, but the thing is, what you're doing is guessing what the developer wants. And sometimes, if they're not directing you on video and so on, you send something off and they just go, "No, no, this is completely wrong." And
yeah,
you're like, "Well, I'm not psychic.
yeah, yeah,
I need more information from you." And it can be when you're really deep into the development and you know every inch of this game and you understand what it's all about, but you actually just need to communicate that to somebody else. I can't reach into your mind as much as I'd love to. That would save a lot of conversations. But we that's the thing that it's one thing to be able to make a game, and it's quite another to be able to pitch it to somebody else. And I think professionally speaking, that's such a useful skill to develop.
definitely,
Um,
yeah. We've got a question. Just asking, what was
yeah.
the first game you were involved in, and how did you get involved with it?
Oh god, back in time.
I did. It's not
So
that far back.
it's quite a lot.
I was trying to be
I
nice there,
think
Sally.
no, no, no. I'm ancient. It's fine. Uh, so it was for Teon Games, and it was I think like their first ever game, and it's so early it doesn't appear on their Wikipedia, and it's
Oh
called
wow.
Burn. And I'm like this, where there's all this in war games, there's often just like a sexy female voice that tells you what weapon you're using at any given moment, and that was me.
Ah,
Uh, so like utilizing machine gun.
that
Um,
was you.
that was me. I keep meaning to kind of get in touch with them because I believe they are slightly more successful now. Um, just like the tiniest bit more widely commercially successful.
Yeah.
And I should probably get in touch and say, remember
Like,
me?
hey, remember the
Um,
utilizing Machine Gun Girl?
Could do other stuff. So yeah, a lot of my early stuff is that kind of sexy female voice says weaponry. Which is just, yep, that's the
Yes.
thing. I did a lot of spaceships. That was fun. Doing
Okay.
spaceship voices is really fun.
I was going to say, what is it? What has it been like? I suppose you've carved a way now in the adventure game industry, but
Yeah.
what has it been like as a woman doing voice acting in the game industry?
Do we have 400 hours? I think this. Sorry. So I think one of the things that I'm seeing that's improving now. Let's stick to the positive. Is more evenly matched characters. So it wouldn't be uncommon for like even less than 10 years ago to be like, okay, so there's 8 male characters and 1 or 2 female characters, and they're quite small characters. Cool. I have questions about how reproduction happens in your universe.
Yeah.
And there's really a tendency, because so many developers are men, to think of male characters as default. And you can see it in, like, again, the Vampire Story at the moment has so many male characters in, which are all done by the same voice actor, which is kind of annoying. And then like 3 female characters, and it's just like, oh, it would be just so nice to just have this rat in the dungeon doesn't have to be male. It could be female. There's no reason it can't be female. And that's a thing that I'm seeing changing now. And that was one of the things that I was super excited to do Mutropolis for, because the female characters are awesome. Yeah. Should I say about Ra? I got very excited about Ra.
Yeah, go on.
I suppose you've streamed it. It's been out for more than 6 months. I can talk about it. But
I'm not a big streamer. It's not going to get out.
Oh, that's see now who's. Well, okay, so I could just break all of my NDAs on here.
Oh God, no!
We're talking to 28 people. I don't know. So with Mutropolis, the publisher came to me and was like, we've got this sort of slightly kind of neurotic secretary, and then this mortician, and then the omniscient god Ra.
Yeah.
Within Egyptian mythology. I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. And the fun part about Ra was that so Alistair Beckett King was the writer on it, and his scripts are superb, and like that's a classic example of the character just leaping out of the script at you, and he makes it so easy for me to be funny. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. I'm like, that's all him. I just said the words.
No, come on, you definitely played a part.
I do my best. We had a really good laugh. I do need to release the outtakes from that session, because it's just a lot of laughing. We're just making each other laugh, and that's always really lovely. So it's made with a lot of love, that game. I think that comes through. But yeah, that with Ra, the developer was like, we want this huge, booming, omniscient god character. And Alistair's like, can you make her a bit like Victoria Wood? Really like understated and pathos. And he's like, could you just like, or like meld the two together? And I'm just like, yes, I can. Yes,
I'll do it.
I can. Yeah, so my audition for that was one really big, boomy, or omniscient voice, one really understated Victoria Wood type voice, and then what happened in the middle, which is a bit like Patricia Routledge. I think she's a bit like Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yeah.
She's got a very but I should have videoed some more of these sessions. There is a video knocking around, but Ra, the voice, I found that, and it's a really big booming voice, I won't do the full thing, but that I had to put my hands up in front of my head, like, oh, what is this? And yeah, the script is just so funny that you can just kind of go, awake, awake, come on, son, we haven't got all epoch. It's just there. It's there. She's so funny, and it's just it's. I wish that it had had a bit more attention than it did. It's always really hard. I mean, the timing, like releasing a game during a pandemic. My goodness.
Yeah, it's true.
But it deserved a lot more attention than it got. Not just because I'm shouting in it. It's so good, and it's so pretty.
Yeah, it's
really. They sent me. Yeah, they sent me all the art for it. I was just like, so pretty. I want to click all the things. Uh,
And you can.
and you can. Yeah. I can't remember how we got onto this. I will just talk
No,
forever
that's
about my job. I really love my
fine.
job.
That's so
And
nice. I'm glad. I'm glad you do. I had a feeling you did. Um,
I
I
hope it shows.
Yes, it certainly does. I mean, especially because you get involved in all these game jams as well.
Yeah,
But
should we talk about jams a
yeah,
bit?
why not? Let's talk about a
Because
jam
we're
for a
we're
little bit.
we're in the quiet bit for game jams for me.
Mm.
So it's all tumbleweeds at the moment, and it's basically developers kind of going, yeah, I probably won't put voice acting in.
Yeah.
I just really want to get something down. Like, cool. Well, I'll be here.
I'm waiting.
And then, right at the very end, you get this. I've just sent you the script, and I really need something. But yeah, the Adventure X one has been really fun because everyone's really polite. They're
Yes.
like, well, I wouldn't want to do voice acting because it would have to be in the very last minute. And I'm just like, that is exactly my job. Yeah. I was saying to you earlier, I was recording a game before the session in the evening because that's how it rolls sometimes. That
Yeah.
like, okay, guess I'm a creepy old lady this evening instead of like watching TV. Cool. Um
For
That's
these
how
game
life
jams,
is.
so say if someone wanted to take part in game jam, they
Yes.
don't really know about making a game, but they're up for doing a bit of voice acting. What do you
Yeah.
think they need? What tips would you give them to give it a go?
Oh, I think there's loads of people who are like, I could give it a bash, and then they don't tell anybody what they sound like, and it's
Right, yeah.
really frustrating. And there is somebody on the Discord who has been saying for at least 3 years, "Oh yeah, I keep meaning to put a reel together. Here's me doing something," and it's just like, "Oh, you're really good and talented, and you could be doing so much more, and you need to put some kind of reel together, even if it's just 3 different voices."
Yeah.
Um, just so that when some poor panicky developer is clicking through the voice acting channel or whatever, going, I desperately need an Egyptian god or whatever, like, oh, this'll do great. Yeah, it works as a good advert for you. Stay loose. Don't overthink it. There is a tendency to go over and over and over and try and actually your first maybe 1 or 2 takes usually the freshest and the best, and then it gets a bit in your head.
Mm.
I think that's true even for professionals, that you can start overthinking. Is that the word? Or maybe the intonation could, well, it depends if I'm talking to, and you get into your head, and actually the whole point of jams is to bash something out that's good enough. And sometimes my kind of damn it, that's good enough performances have been my favorites.
Yeah.
So I did Ink Jam a while back with Graham Hayes, Studio Hazy, and they did a game which was about being in a game jam. So it was completely meta.
Okay.
And I was playing Graham, and I was basically his inner monologue about like, okay, so now we have to do this. Okay, so if I get this sorted out, then if I go to bed early and start early, then I can no, everybody else is going to be doing this idea. If I was, and I was doing that, I think 2 days before having surgery, so I knew I had to like get it done that day. And I was sort of really anxious about the surgery as well, which fed in quite well. And it's all first takes, man. It's all first takes. And just that really neurotic, just, okay, energy was really useful for that. And I really like that game. It's a really fun game.
And in terms of equipment, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't
Yes.
really have the right equipment, or what is the minimum? What are you going to need? I'm kind of asking for myself here.
Right, I got that. Because we've done a jam game
We
together.
have, yes.
Yes, and your audio quality was just fine for that. Don't worry.
Yes.
So obviously I'm going to brag about my broadcast quality
Okay.
studio here because I spent a lot of time and work making it. But it also was very annoying for us on Discord earlier. Betrayal. But I think probably the key is good quality microphone.
Yeah.
So if you can use something like a Yeti, my go-to USB mic is the Rode NT USB. It's lovely. I know. I recognize it. Hello, old friend. And like right at the start of my career, I was recording proper games on that. And I think even one TV series I did on it, and I didn't get any
Wow.
complaints.
Okay.
Wouldn't do it now.
No.
And the second thing is your environment. So I am in my screaming room, we call it, the padded room. And that does a heck of a lot more work to make the audio usable and workable. So if you can, the joke is going in a wardrobe or a closet, but basically anything that deadens echoes is going to be helpful. So if you can put something like heavy curtains behind the mic and behind you, that sort of soaks up an awful lot. Yeah. You can buy little reflection filters for like more than 100 quid, and they are just not worth the money, in my opinion. The other thing that I've seen is I think it's the isotope eyeball, which is crazy expensive because it's a sphere of foam, and you
Oh,
bung it
okay.
on like a hat over the mic and then shout into it. And Studio Spares make one for 25 quid, and I have that in my mobile kit. So if I'm, away traveling and I need to audition, I have the NT USB in that little Studio Spares cube. And I forgot the stand one time. So you have to imagine me in a hotel room holding this thing in my hand, like, Yorick's skull in Hamlet, shouting into this thing. And it wasn't really conducive to my most creative acting, because that's the thing about your recording environment, is it's not just about sounding good, it's about like feeling nice.
Yeah.
So all the people that are like under a duvet, I feel like that comes over if you're kind of suffocating and
Yeah.
not very happy, and you're not going to do your most exciting acting. So that's the thing. Yeah.
That's a good tips there. I like it. We've got a
Yeah.
question from
Hey.
Devior, who was we were speaking to earlier, saying,
Yeah.
"What are useful questions or materials?" We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are useful questions or materials as a developer to provide a voice actor with for making or explaining what a role is, or how to find where to go with it? We've kind of touched on it a
Well,
little bit, but it's worth going over again.
yeah, I've been waiting for this moment.
Here she goes. I'll just leave.
No, because Adventure X let me do a talk a few years ago exactly about this.
Yeah.
So if you go and Google directing voice actors Adventure X, it's about a 35-minute talk, which involves a lot of me making weird jokes, because that's who I am. And there's slides and what have you, and an explanation of like the process that we go through. So broadly speaking, your W questions: what, where, when, how, who, all of those things. And sort of rough ages as well is quite useful. And try to think more about character qualities than vocal qualities. So if you have, you decide in your head you want them to sound one way, you're cutting off an awful lot of creativity of that voice actor, and they could bring you something really unusual that you hadn't thought of, and you're too exhausted because you're doing a jam, but they're just fresh because they're just starting. And if you say, I've got this cannibal in the game and I kind of want her to maybe sound like this, I've got these wolf howls, can you do wolf howls? And this is a real jam game that I did. And
Okay.
so, yeah, this is a real thing. And I kind of went, okay, well, the howling sounds like this. And she sort of says stuff like this. So what if she sounded like a child as well? And so we went with like a wolf howly child voice, and it's really creepy.
It sounds it.
Yeah, those are my two favorite things. If I make somebody go, or if I make somebody laugh, or both.
I think you've done a good job with both of those over the years. There was a good question. There's a question, a typical question, really. But if you could voice any character from adventure game history, Sally, who would it be? I mean, it sounds like you've had some great jobs.
I
You know,
have,
the one
yeah.
you've had good pick
I
of the
feel
jobs.
greedy.
Yeah, soak it up.
I having played it as a kid, I always thought that Elaine in
You know
the
what?
Monkey Island
It's funny. I thought
games.
you were going to say it. I thought you were going to say it.
Well, the thing is that when they cast them, I think she's an actress from Coronation Street, and she's really mumsy and kind of
Mm.
middle-aged and grouchy. She's like, "Oh, Guybrush, I'm so fed up with you." It's
Yeah.
like, why did he fall in love with that? I'm like, she's the governor. She's cool.
Yeah.
She's like, she gets kidnapped by pirate. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You need somebody with like a bit more savvy. She's way cleverer than Guybrush.
Yeah.
She's
No.
not some naggy wife. But my theory is that this poor woman had no idea even what games really were at that point. And was just like, oh, she's his wife. Okay, cool. And just did a stock wife character.
Yeah.
And like they didn't tell her what that would sound like. And I'm like, oh, that was such a missed opportunity. And when in the Telltales one, when Mo arrives, I was just like, yep, that is a pirate I can dig the voice of. All right. But yeah, I'd love to have been Elaine.
I
Yeah.
think you'd make a very good
Every-
Elaine.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, trivia about me, I thought that the word gubernatorial was made up for the game for a really long time. Well into adulthood.
Well, it's a silly word.
It feels like a silly word. But I just assumed it was part of like adventure game weird words, made up words. Gubernatorial sounds like goober. I don't know.
I could buy that.
Everyone expects me to say like Lara Croft and stuff. And I think if there was a game, and I
didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah, well, it's normally dudes expect me to say Lara Croft. I'm kind of a posh lady, so that's the role that's there. I'd play her if she was an older character. I think an older Lara Croft later in her career would be really fascinating. I know Ree Pratchett's talked about that a little bit. Stop teasing me. That would be such a cool game. Because there's no older lady action heroes really in games. So I think that would be awesome. But yeah, the role I really want is the one that's on the slate right now. Like, it's always the next thing. That's always what's exciting, because I am always excited by what developers come up with. And that I'll get an email going, singing wolf. Yep, wouldn't have thought of that, but I'd love to. And just the creativity that's there that they bring to you, and you're just like, you want me to, oh cool, let's play. Like, those are the roles I want. It's always the next thing and the next.
Oh, an excellent, what an answer. You know,
I know, where
what a
do I get it
professional.
from? It's just like an appeal for more work, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say,
please keep employing me.
Are we recruiting for Sally right now?
Yes.
You don't need it, Sally. But thank you. I mean, I'll have to ask you this, Sally. This is a hot topic in the chat.
I'm ready.
What is your favourite chocolate bar, Sally?
It is Nomo caramel, and I've got this is what I was doing when I was listening to Stephen, this is the fruit and crunch one, which is really good. But yeah, that's it's
Great.
like, like the Cadbury's caramel one was, but like several levels up.
Okay, I have to check it out. Thank you.
That's really good.
And
I knew I was going to get asked.
Yeah. So. It's like, I keep forgetting to ask it, so I'm glad we finally found out.
The chat, appease the chat.
The chat, I've got to. You have to. But thank you. I'm so glad this worked.
Me too.
And it's lovely to chat to you.
Yes, and I will come on the podcast. I will come on the podcast because yay.
But thank you so much. Genuinely, no, it's been really well. You're very busy, so I understand. Don't worry. But thank you so much. Great to just find out a bit more about what you do and the life of a voice actor and all that kind of thing. But hopefully, maybe have a chat with you once this game jam is done, when we've heard some of your voices as well, heard the work you put into it. It'd be great to have a chat with you again.
You wait, no one's going to book me now. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to have anything to show.
I doubt that. I don't think that's. And if you're all right, I'm sure people would love to find out more about your work and that kind of thing.
Sure.
If you drop just a link in the chat afterwards, I'll put that up in the chat for Twitch.
I shall do.
Because I'm sure lots of people would like to know more about you. And yeah, thank you very much.
No, my pleasure. Always lovely, and you're always so lovely about my work as well. It does
Well,
my
you're just
ego
very
the
good.
power of good. It's quite difficult because I don't see over people's shoulders when they're playing. I have no
Yes.
idea what other people are experiencing unless they come and tell me. So streamers are amazing for that. I'm just like, oh, that's what people think about that plot twist.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I always really appreciate the kindness that you extend to me
Oh.
and to adventure games generally.
Well, just as long as you keep doing good work, then it'll continue. So I'm sure you will. Brilliant stuff.
All
All right.
right, take care. Bye bye.
Bye.